Okay.
Seriously?
Yeah. Holy shit. So I woke up like in the middle of the night last night.
Uh-huh.
I ate 4 pieces of toast with peanut butter and jelly. Okay.
Seriously?
Yeah. Holy shit.
But that's why I can't do the hard stuff, because I'll do stuff like that.
I ate.
Oh, it says watch live now, Dolly Boop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we live?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it is.
Oh, shit. Okay. This is our first episode of Drunk Cocktails with Marianne and me, and we're both already drunk. So we're going to play Never Have I Ever. I'm going to start.
Wait, right off the bat? Wait. Where's we're talking about our life in the cocktail world.
Oh, okay. Marianne and I both worked at New York Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. I guess we're still employed there.
Technically.
Right. But we don't work there.
Yeah, we haven't worked there since last March.
Right.
Okay.
We were offered shifts on New Year's Eve. Which, yeah.
Oh, and Christmas, I think.
I don't think I was.
Really?
So
they tried to call me on Christmas, which I knew that they would try to do.
Right, you're right. They did. I can't remember back that far, but I think you're correct. I'm going to go with your memory. Marianne and I are both on what's called the extra board, and for people who aren't in the industry, that means that we were on-call employees, and when the full-timers call in sick or they go on vacation or extra stations are open because of business, then management calls the extra board in order of seniority and and it goes on down the line. There's a lot of other things involved. Workforce came in and took over scheduling. I'm going to say what's in 2 years now, right?
Yes.
And anybody who works in Las Vegas and is a victim of workforce, I think can verify that they suck ass.
It's a hard job, doll.
Hard job, Dolly.
Hard job, Dolly.
Real quick, I'm on the extra board, and I kind of started this thing where I did a group text with all the extra board girls, and I would let them know, what shifts were offered, and then I helped make the schedule, blah, blah, blah. And then it got so just awful.
Utterly ridiculous
That I actually applied for the job to be workforce director. And through a whole bunch of, I went to interviews, blah, blah, blah. It looked like I almost had the job, and then it just got pulled out from under me. And come to find out, I think workforce was the baby of Jim Murin's son or something. Yes. Jim Murin at the time was the CEO of MGM Corporation. He has since stepped down, and now Bill Hornbuckle, right, is the CEO. Yeah. But Jim Murin, weirdly enough, is the head of the COVID task force here in Las Vegas, here in Nevada, pretty much. And I don't think I'm too far in the conspiracy theory to think that he's in cahoots with Governor Sisolak, which is why casinos have remained open, and business mom and pop shops have been shut down. And then when we reopened, it was at 50%, and now it's at 25% capacity, which really the casinos are the only ones who can survive at that rate. And the mom and pop shops.
Well, all the big corporations can survive at that rate, yeah, but mom and pop shops, no.
No, I mean, who can survive at 25% capacity? Your overhead and your payroll is going to cost more. So that's why a lot of private businesses have closed.
Yeah.
It's just a whole political bullshit. And the point is, I don't think we're going to go back to work anytime soon.
No.
Here we are. So we're going to share some things about Vegas that maybe people who aren't from Vegas don't know, and maybe even people who live in Vegas aren't really aware of if they're not in the casino industry.
We're going to share some knowledge.
We're going to share some knowledge that some of these I covered in my, I had a website called Cocktail Doll years ago, and these I covered in there. So we're going to steal from my website. And my number one thing is, and again, we're going to do the never have I ever.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Ready.
Never have I ever fucked anyone in a casino.
Why did that have to be first one?
And that is a lie, even though we both drank. We're just going to drink through all these, whether or not we have. So,
No.
what? Well, this
there
one.
Might be one. There might be one that I might not drink
Maybe.
through. Maybe. Okay.
We both drank, but we both know that. Okay, so the point is everybody does fuck everybody. It's a very incestuous relationship in a casino. Casinos have thousands of employees, even a small casino like ours, New York, 2,000-3,000 employees, maybe.
Yeah, close to 3.
Yeah,
it was
so we're talking,
500.
right. So we're one of the smaller strip casinos. And so if you're talking a place like, Monte Carlo, MGM, Luxor, any of the Bellagio, Mandalay Bay, think of the number of employees that you come into contact with every day, as opposed to somebody who works in an office who might just, know the same 12 people they work with every day or something. So everybody ends up fucking everybody. Probably every cocktail waitress has fucked a bartender. And we're talking married or not, people who have significant others or not. We're talking even pit bosses, dealers, security guards.
Well, when you think about it, if you work on the strip, especially here in Vegas, what's the most convenient and easiest place to meet someone? Where you work. Like off the strip, it's like a different story. It's like scary.
But even in other circumstances, I think because you spend so much time with people that you work with.
Yes.
And when you meet somebody at work, what your personal lives, you got your husband and bills and kids and laundry and whatever. So it's always, the grass is always greener on the other side. Even if the two people who get together have those things happening in their real lives, somehow the fantasy of being with somebody that you're not going to argue with them about bills and in-laws and whatever. So that just happens. And then in the casino industry, where you could easily say, hey, so-and-so went out for a drink, after work or whatever. And we're talking a 24-hour town.
Yep.
So swing shift usually is between a shift that starts maybe 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. and then all the way from like 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. So, you get off work and the rest of the world is asleep, but, your crew might stay at work and, hang out or go to Ellis Island, the very, very, it's just a dive bar, but very common, very popular place among locals. So anybody who wants a great job bartending, Ellis Island Graveyard, you will make bank because most of isn't that true?
Of the industry people go there, yeah.
Most of the industry people go there. So that means you're going to drink a lot, you're going to tip a lot. And so those people just.
That or Peppermill.
Peppermill, that's another place. But is that open 24 hours?
I'm not 100%. I know it's like, I know where everybody after swing shift would go there too.
Oh, they do have a casino part, right? Not just the restaurant part.
They do have games, but
it's. I think because Ellis Island it's in the shady part. It's like, what is it on Harmon or right behind him, and it's got a karaoke bar. Of course, when you're drunk, you think you can sing or you don't care. So anyway, the point is everybody fucks everybody. So when you come as a customer and you're being served by your innocent little cocktail waitress or bartender, pretty much they probably, they're not as innocent as you think.
Oh God. So should I never have I ever then?
Yeah, your turn.
Never have I ever been solicited for sex on the strip.
Touche.
Cheers.
Okay, so speaking of innocent, maybe that's not your perception of cocktail waitresses, and that does bring up a good point. So that cocktail waitresses are hookers, or
Oh my God.
and this happened actually maybe more in the olden days. And when I say olden days, I mean like 90s and before,
Mhm.
because I don't feel like this happened too much recently. Do you think so? That hasn't happened to me at New York, New York. I started New York 18 years ago. Marianne, you the same thing?
20 years ago, but I have been solicited.
I have
Like, but like in the past 5 years.
not in the past 5 years, or
Yes, in the past 5 years.
but it's very rare, right?
It's
Because
very it's very rare, but I think the misconception was there, like you said, in the 90s.
yeah, because I actually think maybe back in the day, which Vegas started in the 50s, I
Yeah.
believe. I think there was some truth to that, like that was because it was started by the mob. So pretty much any job was a front for, things that
Money
happen
laundering.
behind the scenes, right?
Mm.
Because now I've been in the industry since forever. I'm 52 years old. So I started out at Bally's. Actually, I started out at El Rancho Casino, if you can believe
No, you didn't. I didn't know that
it.
one.
Yeah. Anyway, Bally's was my first real cocktailing job. And I would say, and I was like 23 at the time around there. So I would say maybe on a weekly basis, I literally would have customers come up to me and in all seriousness, like ask me if I would go up to the room, or they just hand me their room number, or they'd actually flash some money.
Mm-hmm.
And bartenders would tell me that people would, customers would say to them, hey, they would point out a cocktail waitress and say, how much for that girl? Because they really, really thought that cocktail waitresses
Yep.
were, that wasn't their real job. And I'm not saying that cocktail waitresses didn't do that and that maybe some went into it for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the reason most girls go. They really go into it because a great, it's a great money paying job.
Yeah, but I do remember having a couple of people tell me that I was a step up from a stripper.
Yeah, I mean, that could be true because strippers can dance and I know you can't dance.
No,
So
I can't dance.
I remember I did have at New York, this guy, he gave me a black chip, which is $100.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me that if I went up to the room with him, he would eat me out for an hour. And he said he would go down on me for as long as it took for me to have an orgasm, even if it took an hour. I guess hour was his max. So I kept coming around to bring him drinks, and I was like, hey, yeah, maybe, because I wanted the black chip. Not that I would ever go out with him because he was fucking disgusting. Now, if I wanted some guy to eat me out, I mean, I would do it for free, but this guy was gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I remember like the third time I came around, his wife was there. So then I knew the game was over because, then he didn't even order a drink from me. He was just like,
but you made money off of it.
oh,
So.
yeah, totally. But I mean, the wife was a total cock blocker, as far as money wise, I knew. But the point was, I mean, yeah, I mean, you do get great offers, and that certainly that's a lot of money, right? I mean, for somebody to offer to eat you out for an hour and give you $100. I mean, if it was from someone, I guess if it was from someone who'd do it for free, they wouldn't be offering that kind of money.
Yeah. True.
How much do you offer to eat somebody out?
I haven't had to offer ever.
For people who don't know, Marianne is a lesbo. She's gone both ways. So we're not sure if she really is a real lesbo. We think it's maybe because, it's one of those right-wing conspiracy things that maybe she was molested and that caused her to change her ways. But she has said to me that she would not eat me out because I would not be able to handle it.
You would be haunting me for the rest of my life. Yes. And
knocking at her door at 3 a.m. and she wouldn't be able to handle that. So we will never know. Okay. Never have I ever watered down a drink. So this is another big, I'm going to say
get what you pay for.
You do get what you pay for. So Marianne and I are cocktail waitresses on the casino floor, which means the drinks are free. When I
Mhm.
say that, I mean, a lot of people actually, some people don't know this. When you're gambling in the slot area, in the pit area, which are table games, pretty much anywhere, the drinks are free, which means they're complimentary. We want to stress that. Drinks are complimentary, service is not. Whole nother topic. But
Correct.
a lot of people accuse the casinos of watering down drinks because they'll say, I can't taste the alcohol in this drink. So now I'm going to say there are a couple things that come into play here. Number one, we don't water down drinks because I have never known a waitress to go back to the bar and order a gin and tonic and then tell the bartender, hey, can you splash a bit of water in there? That's just ridiculous, right?
But a half shot or a floater.
So yes, so that has happened if you're an asshole. And on the other hand, if you're a good tipper, we might do a half shot, or because if you're an asshole, obviously we don't want you to get a good drink. And if you're a good tipper, we don't want you to get too fucking wasted.
Too drunk. Mhm.
That's a little secret we maybe shouldn't tell, but here we are. So another thing is when people want a drink in a tall glass, for some reason, people have this misconception that if they have a
It's
drink,
more alcohol.
which totally does not make sense. I mean, why the hell would we put more alcohol? Oh, you want a rum and Coke in a tall glass? Sure, that means I'm going to fill it up with rum. No, like how would that benefit us or the casino?
Yep.
Obviously, you're going to fill it up with more Coke, so you're actually screwing yourself unless
Yep.
you want a drink to drink longer. Another thing is ice melts incredibly fast. And by the time it gets to you, the drink is going to taste watered down. And I think the most important point is when you're making a drink personally, you're not using a shot glass and you're not using a measured, pushing on a button out of a gun, which is always measured. So like this looks like one shot to me.
Oh boy.
So
That's
if that's your idea of a shot, of course, a real shot, which is what, 1.5 ounces, right? Something
yes.
like
I think a true shot is 1.5, but I think they do 1 ounce pours at the casinos.
So if you do 1.5 ounce and you fill the rest up with a Pepsi or water or whatever,
It's not gonna taste strong.
you're not going to taste it if that's what you're used to. So nobody is watering down your drinks unless you're an asshole and unless you're a good tipper. We're talking really good tipper. We're not talking like someone who gives $5.
Yep. No.
Somebody who gives $100 to eat you out. That person is probably going to get just a regular Coke, no rum whatsoever. All right, your turn.
Never have I ever been stalked by a customer.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
Cheers.
All right, what's your story?
There was a guy I actually called in to work twice because he showed up there and I knew he would be there the following day. And he was just like coming to Vegas like twice a year. I think his name Mike or something like that. And he got this like, I don't know if it was a crazy fantasy or something in his head, but like total merry guy. And like he came in one day and I hadn't realized until he said to me, here, I brought you a burner cell phone. This is for you, so you can only contact me on this cell phone. I was just like, what the fuck?
Back up. How did he even get to the point where he felt like he could do this?
Because he said he did my horoscope and his horoscope. And we were meant to be together, okay?
Let him on in some way. Come on, it had to be your fault. This is victim blaming, but this is legitimate. Go ahead. So, I mean, because
tell me your story, see if I can victim blame first.
Shit, right? You believe in horoscopes and shit like that, right?
Yeah, I think he might have asked me. Well, no. I don't buy into the whole horoscope thing too much. I really don't. But
He's a good tipper. Is why you kept up this.
He was a good tipper and stuff. And I had actually met him years, like 2 years prior to that, out at the pool. Never thought a thing of it. Good tipper and stuff. And then he came around and like,
That's a good tipper. That's
well, if he had like a $400 tab, he would give me a couple of hundred.
okay. That's a really good tipper. Okay.
Okay. And like if I was working out on the casino floor, he was always 20.
Very good tipper.
So it's just one of those things, you try to be nice to them and stuff. And I don't know exactly where it went awry, but I know the previous trip to that, he had asked me what was my birth date, like year and everything. So when he came back and said like, oh, you and I are meant to be together, the whole horoscope thing, and take this burner phone and $400, I took the money.
Smart.
I called in the next day because I knew he was going to be there again. After that, I didn't see him again.
That was it. You called off twice, and then he got the
Mhm.
message. What happened to the burner phone?
Huh?
What happened to the burner phone?
Trash.
I don't know. What's a burner phone? Like they already paid for minutes or something? Was that what?
Yeah, they put minutes on it and stuff, and I can like only his number was programmed in it.
Did he ever call you from it or to it? I mean,
I don't know. I wouldn't know. I threw it away. Like immediately.
Oh, okay.
I took the money and basically.
Okay, so if you ever, that brings me to another point. If you think a cocktail waitress likes you more than somebody else, I mean, I guess this is hard to say because we have had cocktail waitresses who actually fuck customers or dated them or whatever. But for the most part, they're just being nice, and they're only being nice because you're a good tipper.
Yep.
True?
True.
Okay. And actually, I don't have a story about a customer stalker. So
what?
I don't. So when I drank, that was a true never have I ever.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Never have I ever been part of the drug scene in Vegas.
Fucker.
Okay, we're both drinking, but whatever kind of drug you want, it's available in a casino. And we're talking any kind of drug. And I'm going to say 90% of the time when you're being served by an employee in the industry, they probably are on a drug. Yeah?
Unfortunately, yeah. If they're over the age of 30, yeah.
I mean, most likely it's some kind of legal drug that wasn't legally prescribed to them. We're talking like oxys, hydrocodone, Xanax, things that are.
But I think it's settled down a lot, don't you?
We haven't worked in a year, so I don't know.
Well, this is true. Who knows who's out there selling what? But you know what? That would annoy me. Like when customers would come in and, oh, where do I get the good stuff? I'm like, how the fuck would I know?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. If you're a customer and you ask an employee,
yeah,
you're probably going to be shut down because there have been drug raids by undercover cops.
Oh, yeah.
And so like no employee is going to flat out say, oh yeah, go talk to Joe and tell them, Donnie sent you or something. Like who's stupid enough to do that kind of shit?
I always wondered, I'm like, what's going through the customer's head when they're asking that? I'm just like, really?
Well, maybe because they're smart enough to know that if anybody does know the drug scene, it's somebody who lives and works in Vegas, which they're not wrong. And they may be asking the right person, but if it's somebody you don't know, you're not going to just give
up information or anything. Yeah.
And because of that reason, there have been drug raids where people have been literally arrested, lost their livelihood, and it's a big deal. So even though probably everybody that serves you in Vegas and works in Vegas is probably on some kind of drug, probably won't be able to score any as a customer. Yeah, at least not at a strip casino. I mean, I feel like maybe downtown, maybe
downtown, yeah.
Downtown, or
like
maybe
Fremont.
Yeah, maybe a non-strip casino, maybe a non-union casino should be what I'm saying, because I don't want to say it's that casino workers or union workers are more I don't know, upstanding. I think it's just that they vet them more. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, a union casino is harder to be fired because there's so many, you know,
Yeah.
things in place where you have to go through some processes, which is why if you go to a casino, you see a lot of fat, ugly old cocktail waitresses, you're probably in a union casino. And
Yeah.
that is the truth, because short of maybe stealing or being caught drunk on the job or some kind of really
Stealing, drunk on the job, or points. Those are the only three things I have ever seen anyone get fired over on the strip, as far as like a union casino.
right. So pretty much, if you want to see hot cocktail waitresses, go to a non-union casino, or maybe one that you go to. I don't want to name any names, but I think, since we've been at New York, 18, 20 years, casinos that have been open that long.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
And you see waitresses that are not in their 20s and don't have the best attitudes, you're probably in a union casino. Okay.
True.
Is
it my turn?
No. I think it is your turn. Please, you go.
Really?
I don't remember the last thing.
Never have I ever warmed up a beer.
Okay. Oh, shit. All right, I drank to that, but I have to. Okay.
You never, seriously? I would never put anything in, or I would never like put something stupid in anyone's drink. But yeah, I have warmed up a beer.
Okay, so if you're a complete utter fucking dick, and we're not just talking about somebody who stiffs.
You're like over the top.
Right.
Dick.
A stiff is a term for somebody who does not tip for a drink. So if you're a fucking dick, so usually people who are dicks are stiffs. It's usually the cheapest people who demand the best service.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about people who complain because they haven't had a drink in 15 minutes, or
we'll call the manager over right away. We'll tell the floor supervisor, hey, get me her manager, or just like
attitude, whether it's some kind of discrimination or just whatever, that they feel like they're being slighted and not treated as good as other customers.
Mm-hmm.
Which usually I feel like people who do this are the same kind that would, go to a restaurant, eat the whole thing, and say that they hated the food and want their money back. So so don't get crazy if you out there have ever stiffed a waitress or complained. We're talking about people who probably do this for a living. So if you're that kind of person, your first one is always going to be stellar.
Yes.
But, and maybe your second one. But yeah, depending on the waitress and how she is.
Yes.
So we have these things in casinos called dishwashers. and pretty much it's just a machine where it's on a what do you call that thing? I can't call it.
Conveyor belt.
Conveyor belt. I just wash my hands like this. Okay. So you set the dirty tray, a dirty drink, glasses on this, and then in the middle there's like this thing where as it goes in, there's really super, super hot water, hot water, and then at the end there's cold water to rinse, and it comes out clean.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, allegedly, not me, you might run an open cold beer through this conveyor belt, and then, not that we've done it personally.
I mean, honestly, I can remember some of the girls, like I still have the visual in my head. It's like, oh, I'm warming up give me some beer, and just shoved it in the dishwasher because they were just like so pissed off. You have to get to that point of pissed off to mess with anyone's drink. Even some to warm it up.
And along the line of warming up beers, if you think a waitress fucks with your drinks, you may not be wrong. So this happened maybe in the earlier days of Vegas, and we're talking because again, I've been around a long time. I haven't actually seen this since I've been at New York, New York,
Mhm.
because I feel like there's more of a, I don't know, like checks and balances in place that, you know, if somebody else sees you doing this, if your manager walks in and sees you doing this, no matter how bad the customer is,
Mhm.
I will say I have seen waitresses stomp on limes and put them in drinks. I've seen them
You did?
I've seen them take a glass or take ice their glasses. In other words, they, you know, we ice our drinks. We put ice in the drinks before we, you know, put them
Yeah.
on our tray to
Trey.
tell the bartender what to make. I've seen them take ice from the dirty bin.
Oh yeah.
I've seen
That
um, take old cigarettes and stub them out in a glass. And I mean,
Forgot.
yeah,
What about forgotten alcohol?
forgotten alcohol,
Forgotten alcohol.
or they use old straws, you know, things that just dirty glasses. Um, I don't want to speak for other people, and I don't want people to get all paranoid and stuff, especially in this day of COVID. I'm just saying these are things that I have witnessed. And again, not that I've personally done or Marianne has personally done. Um, I have seen people, if people are complainers, like customers are complainers. For example, I've seen a waitress, a customer, I remember specifically this one incident, a customer ordered a Kahlua and cream,
Mhm.
and they were complaining about the drink, and and they were stiff. So the waitress came back and they put olive juice in the drink, and they just kept bringing out the same drink over and over to the customer, and the customer would be like, this tastes really bad, and the waitress would be like, I don't know. And eventually the customer was just like, I don't want anything else, which, you know, which was what the waitress wanted. You know, she didn't have to serve
Yeah.
the customer, and really she didn't do anything shitty to the drink. She just made it taste shitty.
This made it taste bad. Yeah. That wasn't like horrible. Like I've seen a couple really bad ones,
Right.
but
So
yeah.
again,
But that goes to show you, anyone that's out there, it's not like you have to be like this huge ass tipper. I mean, what's the expectation? $1 a drink?
so
Like
yeah,
seriously.
that was kind of going to be my next thing. So if people are wondering what's a good tip, $1 a drink is, I want to say
We'll come back. We're
but
gonna come back.
it's the industry standard. And
Mhm.
so if you just tip $1 for a drink, we're
Mhm.
talking whether the waitress brings you a Corona or a bottle of water, because
Mhm.
we're
We're
talking
coming back.
we're talking a drink, not something with alcohol. So, and when we say a drink, we mean like if you have 6 people in your party and you all order a drink, which obviously is 6 drinks, it doesn't,
$6.
right, it's $6. It's not $1 per round, it's $1 per drink.
Yeah.
Now, the reason is because whether or not you're ordering just water, you know, I have a lot of customers going, I just want a water.
I just want a water. That means I'm gonna stiff you.
Right. As if it means it's less work for the waitress. It's not. The point that you're sitting there playing your machine and you don't have to worry about anything except somebody bringing you a drink. That's what you're paying for. You're not
Mhm.
literally paying for the drink per se. You're paying for
Mhm.
the service. So whether it's a bottle of water, a glass of water, or
Mhm.
a side of olives or whatever, it's $1 per thing that you order, because the more
Mhm.
they have to put on their tray, the fewer people they can serve. So the
Yep.
room you're taking up. So that's really just the thing. I mean, and you might think, you know, $1, I could buy an entire, you know, bottle of 7 Up in the store, but you're not at a store. You're at Vegas. And that's the whole point. It's like you wouldn't go to a restaurant and say, you know, I ordered this steak and it would have cost me this much and it wouldn't cost me, you know,
Yeah,
35.
exactly.
You're
It's
not at,
luxury.
correct.
Kind
So
of a luxury.
right. So like it or not, you're in Vegas, you're ordering something um that is a service,
Yeah.
and kind of a service. It's a tipping job. So that's just how it goes. So, and I'm not saying that if you stiff a waitress or if you're shitty, that the waitress is necessarily going to do all the things that we just said. But if it happens,
Keep it in mind. Keep it in mind.
keep that in mind. So
I-
a waitress would never do that to somebody who $1 a drink, just a
Never.
a
We
drink.
would never.
They would never, and we're talking like just $1 a drink. So how much more of a better service do you think if you paid $5 a drink? And I don't
Yep.
say like if you gave $5 a drink, you know.
Yep.
So that's the thing. So okay.
Your
my-
turn.
my
Last one. Last
okay,
one before we fall over.
before we fall over. A lot of cocktail waitresses are cheap tippers.
I've seen it and I hate it.
All right, so here's the hypocrisy of a lot of waitresses. They'll bitch and complain about this stiff, that stiff, whatever. And when it comes time to tip out the bartender, they themselves.
Oh, cheap ass motherfuckers.
So for people who don't know, waitresses have to tip out. Okay, they don't have to, but the expectation is they tip out 20% of what they make in tips to their bartenders.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes waitresses will also tip a bar back. A bar back is somebody who helps the bartender stock the bar, make sure the beers are there, make sure, whatever it is that the bartender needs. There's also a bar porter. In a union casino, bar backs are responsible for everything that happens from a counter up. So this basically beers, bottled waters, Pellegrino, whatever. And then the porter is responsible for everything lower of the counter, which means, cleaning up, making sure the floors are clean, making sure maybe the dishwasher is working, things like that. So the real hierarchy of it is cocktail waitresses tip 20% to bartenders, bartenders 20% to bar backs, bar back percent to bar porters.
Yeah.
But sometimes waitresses, if I accidentally break a bottle or something and the bar back or bar porter, cleans it up for me, I might throw a couple $5-10 that day to that bar,
exactly.
bar porter. But anyway, that's pretty much how the hierarchy goes. And since it's on the honor system, nobody really knows obviously what 20% of your tips are. But when you work day in and day out with the same bartender, same waitresses, and you kind of know, this person is consistently tipping me this much. When this
dollars, no matter what, whether they're slow or busy.
Right. And then you get maybe an extra board cocktail waitress that works the same station that somebody took out, and then they're tipping either way less or way more. Now the bartender has an idea of whether they're getting screwed or they're getting tipped really well from that permanent waitress. So that's something I like to address with other waitresses. If you are working in the tip industry and your livelihood depends on tips, I don't understand how you can be a stiff or just a shitty tipper yourself, right?
I've never understood it. Because the bartenders, like especially a good bartender, you know who good bartenders and bad bartenders are. If a bartender is helping me make my money, get my drinks out, he is like certain bartenders we know, absolutely, he's getting 20%, sometimes more. If it's a shitty bartender, I've done the 15% thing. But it takes it. You know how much that would take me.
Well, obviously, the bartender, we are the customers of that bartender. So
yes.
And to a certain extent, we can only be as good as our bartender. How fast they are, how good they drinks, et cetera, et cetera. So, but I'm not talking about bartenders who are shitty, because that's another issue. I'm talking about waitresses who work with, whether it's just a good bartender or a phenomenal bartender. We all talk in the industry, and bartenders among themselves will be like, hey, I have so-and-so today. And people have actually called off work or not to call off work, depending on who they're working with. And
Yep.
the other way has happened, you know?
Yep.
As far as bartenders go, if they know, hey, today I got so-and-so, you know,
I got
Marianne, you're great.
today.
I got the A team or I got the shitty SIF team, you know?
Mhm.
So that's kind of a big deal because we are allocated by the IRS. So
Yes.
that's another thing that a lot of people don't know. So years and years and years ago, our tips were not counted by the IRS. And I actually was working when this happened. I was working at Bally's, and I believe it was 1991, 92, when the IRS sent out spies, and they pretended
Yeah.
to be customers, and they would watch cocktail waitresses and see what was in their tip jars, and they would kind of follow them and see how much people tipped them. And from that, they made an industry standard of how much a day shift slot waitress would make, a day shift pit waitress would make, and it went to swing and grave. And they came up with a number. And depending on the casino, depending on, there's a lot of different variables, but every casino has their standard. And so if you're a full timer and you work day shift pit, then your allocation would be X amount. And
Yes.
that means is say, I'm just going to throw out a number. So if they say you make $15 an hour in tips, whether or
Mhm.
not you made that amount in tips, you would actually have to claim that amount.
Yep.
And there's an option also to not sign the IRS agreement and
Yes.
go on your own and claim your own tips.
Which
So
is what the last couple of years before all this happened.
right. So supposedly the IRS also had a, you know, Scouts honor thing that if you sign the agreement, they wouldn't audit you.
Yes.
You know, that the IRS pretty much can do what they want.
And it was kind of like an intimidation factor too, because I got sent so many letters by the IRS. We think you should, you know, per our allocation, you should be making this. If you have any adjustments to make, call us. And I said, audit me.
Right. But that brings up another point. You can't fight the IRS. I don't care who you are. I mean, you can fight the IRS, but the onus is upon you to prove that you did or did not make the amount that you claim, as opposed to regular lawsuits
Yes.
where
Yes.
the person accusing has to prove the point. Now you're
Yes.
the defendant, but you have to prove the point. So as far as I know,
You have to be careful.
right. The only way you can fight and win with the IRS is if you keep a very careful log.
Yes.
If you choose not to be on the IRS allocation and you want to claim your own tips, you have to literally keep a handwritten log of where you worked that day, the hours you worked, how much you made, how much
Mhm.
you took out, and it has to be in kind of a journal that, like this, is not like a thing where you can tear out.
Mhm.
It has to be every day, you know, every time you work, and obviously in different writing, so you can't just fill it out at the end of the year, because they can kind of say, well, it looks like you just used.
And it can't be like in a pencil, so they could see that you erased it a bunch of times. Yes, and I kept all those logs. So
But 99.9% of people probably are not that diligent. So
yeah.
any who I've known who have gone off the IRS allocation has for sure been audited, and 100% of those people ended up owing money to the IRS, not necessarily because they were guilty, but because
Mhm.
they couldn't
They
prove.
didn't keep records. They
Correct.
didn't keep records. That was why.
Right. So
And because I know people, you and I both know people like that, and it's because they didn't keep records. I know my records are pristine, so
and that's great if you are pristine, but you know, and that goes for I believe bartenders and other tipped employees, but that is a lot of trouble. And if that's worth your time, like with Marianne it is, but if that's worth your time, then do it. But if it's not worth your time, which most people it would not be, I would say just sign the allocation, whatever it is, because
oh yeah, for sure.
most of the time at the end of the year, even if maybe that day you didn't make what the allocation says you made,
Mm-hmm.
by the end of the year, you've come out ahead almost always.
Almost always, yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, so that goes to the tipping thing. So Anything else, Marianne?
I don't know. No, we gotta save some for later.
Okay, all right. So this is episode 1 of Drunk Cocktails. Probably no one's watched this, which is fine because we don't really care. Because you know what? We're drunk.
I'll watch this later. Cheers.
And you can hear my dogs are going crazy. Okay, thank you. Oh, here, cheers. Thank you for joining us. And this has been Dolly and Marianne with Drunk Cocktails. We'll see you next